Okay. Well, I thought I would do a really serious Copium video and why I think New World has still got some legs left in it, in the old girl. But before I start with my evidence, let's just be honest. There is no doubt in my mind that our numbers are the lowest they have ever been. You can look at the numbers and you can see that this is, in terms of the peak players, it's the lowest it's ever been, and it's just been a massive drop over time. And I think over the last 5 months, we can all agree also that they have seriously dropped the ball by just not releasing any content. I mean, who the hell releases a yearly roadmap in June? It's like halfway through the year, so that was very unimpressive from them. However, I don't think it's going to come as any surprise to anyone, unless you've been living with your head in the sand, that New World is going to be getting released on console. They've brought in controller support in previous patches, and I can't see why they would, like, the amount of PC players that would want controller support would be like less than 1%, I'm sure of it. So they can't, so obviously they're bringing it in for a reason. And they've also just introduced with this new update that's coming tonight, they're bringing in shards, which is essentially what other MMOs do with separate instances. So it basically means like you might have 200 people on one shard and another 200 people on another. It basically means that each server, like my server's Delos, can hold many more times people than it currently can, because they can separate all the instances off into different shards. And why would they be doing that, given that at the moment my server only has 500 people at peak, and even the Northeast and European ones are only touching 1,000. So they're obviously getting ready for big influxes of players because they're introducing shards first to the leveling zones. So the fact that they've released controller support and the fact that they're doing this, I think everyone pretty... And there's code in the game too that indicates that console's coming, so I think it's pretty obvious that they're going to be releasing New World on Xbox and or PlayStation. So when ESO, let's compare it with Elder Scrolls Online, because they were a similar game and they were struggling a little bit, and then they released their game on console, and this saw like a massive influx of players that really rejuvenated the game for years. ESO themselves have stated that when they released on console, they saw a bigger player base than when they had at launch on PC. ESO have also said that they had a roughly even split, so about 33% each between PC, Xbox, and PlayStation during the launch. So at this situation, this would mean like a tripling of the numbers. If we use that as our basis, that means New World would see a tripling of the numbers. In any case, like however you want to look at it, if you want to be optimistic or you want to be a little bit negative, I think you'd have to be insane to think that a large number of players aren't going to come and play the New World on console release. And then I also think that the hype of this will bring a lot of PC gamers back, and which would mean a very, very busy New World. Now, the question is, I'm assuming a lot of people are going to bring this up in the comments as well, it's not that we're worried about the players aren't going to come. Well, some people think the players aren't even going to come, and I think they're crazy. But I think the more legitimate argument is, if they do come, can New World keep those players? That's what I'm worried about. Okay, but let's bear in mind that ESO managed to keep the game, like their game rejuvenated and kept pumping for like years afterwards of console release. So that's a little bit of a positive sign. The other positive sign, so this is where we're really inhaling the copium, despite the devs' background and what they've done previously and how they've let us down a lot. Well, not just the devs, I mean just the AGS, I guess. They have done a lot of work to fix the MSQ, so people that come into the game are going to find the leveling process really interesting. They're not going to have the same dropout rate that they had previously, and I think that's really important to get people to the end game. And then they changed the back-end code so that they say that will really help them release a lot of content quickly. So that's also a really good sign, because they needed to change that back-end code, which they've said themselves, so that they can pump out the content. And so that's the key. If they are going to pump out in-game content, hopefully bug-free, which they should be, because they've sort of set themselves up now to do all the other stuff. Like the storyline's good and all that kind of stuff. Now they need to start pumping out content. They've got the code right. So if they can do that, then I think there's some hope that they can keep the player base and attract a lot of the PC people back. Having said that, on the negative side, they have said this before and they've let us down. So that, to me, that's like a little 50-50, right? Okay, so let's just think of what could happen too. So I think there's also some indications from New World that they're going to release the console together with the PC on the same server, which to me, I think is a really good idea. I think that's awesome. I'm sure we can work out something with console players having to aim versus the PC players. It's a little bit of an advantage for PC players if there's no aim assist, and then there could be a bit of an advantage if there is aim assist. I'd rather work that out and have a bigger player population together than try to keep them separate. Some of the code that they've written indicates that currently in the PC is written that would only benefit consoles, so that sort of indicates that that is kind of their thinking, because why would they write code on PC servers if it was never going to go there? And yeah, so this is the big question again. Who knows what they're going to do? I'm really, really hoping that they release the console servers together. It is a big if. It may not be true, but let's just hope it is. If that's true, then even in the current, so even if that's true and they release Xbox and PlayStation together with the PC, even in the current terrible state that the game is right now, so say they released it, but they didn't, the game just stayed the same in terms of like kind of rough server populations that they are now, so that's kind of worst case scenario, you're still going to see a big increase in numbers, because if we take ESO, although there was a roughly third split between PC, Xbox, and PlayStation, I think over time, PC did end up with a bigger population. I would say, at a guess, PC population was about equivalent to both PlayStation and Xbox combined. So if we took that as the number, then we can basically say, okay, so with console, and in the worst case scenario, we'll get double the numbers that we're getting now. Which means that on my server, Delos, which is roughly about 500 players at peak, that means we'd double up to about 1,000 players on the server, which is a good number. Like, that's a good number. You're going to be getting multiple OPR instances running. You're not having any problems finding dungeons. I feel like 1,000 is kind of like a good number. Obviously, the more the better. Some of the Northeast and European servers are still cracking 1,000 players at peak. So they'd be hitting cap or close to it. So even worst case scenario, if the console players end up playing with us, it would mean like a big player base that should last for like, you know, another year or two, hopefully. So anyway, that's my little copium for the day. This is what I'm banking on. This is what I'm hoping for. I do honestly think we're going to definitely see an increase in numbers. How that's going to pan out, who knows? But the announcement is going to be in a few days, so let's see what happens and see what they say. Hopefully, it's yeah. Hopefully, it's good. I think they've built themselves up so much now. I think it's likely to only lead to disappointment. But we'll see what happens. Here's some copium for your evening, and I'll see you all back with some more PvP videos shortly. I mean, otherwise, we could all just leave and go play WoW and have fun there.
This guy's all-in the fuck out of me, dude.
Fuck this stupid game, bro!